and they are desperately waiting for you to listen. So please, wait for 2-3 minutes. Let me introduce the students with you, and you with the students, and then we will start our discussion. Okay. So, good morning, dear students. I'm very sorry that we are late by 20 minutes because of some difficulty with our counselor for logging in. Somehow he is now online, and he will be talking to you on many issues pertaining to your teaching science. And till such time, please wait. All of you know that we have already completed our online classes for 4 courses. That means your from BES-121 to BES-125, and this is the first class of the content-based methodology, which we have started from today onwards. So this will continue for long 16 to 20 days, till all the content-based methodology papers are over. We are very much thankful to Dr. Dey, who is very much online. Dr. Dey is a very senior counselor. He is a subject teacher. He has been teaching this particular subject since pretty long time, and associated with IGNOU counseling also since pretty long time. And he is very much online. Dr. Dey, thank you very much and welcome to this platform.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And dear students, I would like to announce that this will be of 2 hours duration. And as you already know that this is not a teaching class, it is a counseling class. And counseling class means our counselor will touch upon the important aspects, important issues which are there in teaching science. And towards the end of the class, we will invite questions from you. If you have any questions, please keep it with you and write it in the chat box. There is a chat box in the right side. So I will just look at the chat box and put up those questions on behalf of you to the counselor, and both of us will be we will definitely try to respond to each and every questions that is coming in the chat box. Okay, if you want to ask verbally also, you can ask directly, switching on your microphone and your video, and we will definitely try to respond to your questions. Okay, so without wasting much time, Dr. Dey, should we start?
Sir. Yes, sir.
So please start the topic by welcoming the students.
Sure, sir. Dear students, future teachers, so today we will discuss the topic, rather the course 141, BES-141, Pedagogy of Science. So as it is a method subject, especially we will deal with some methodology portions which covers in block 1 and 2, then specifically with the content which is reflected in block number 3 and 4. But as one booklet, one block is given to one day, so we'll try to cover it in this day. But if it is not possible, we'll cover within this period of 4 days. So, dear friends, as you are all science students, your background is minimum science graduate you are, and we'll try to cover up the portions reflected in block number 1, which is consisting of unit 1, 2, 3, 4. So let us start very friendly that as you are science students, then in unit 1, it is reflected as science, what is perspectives and nature. Sometimes though we are science students, but we do not know what is science. What is the meaning of a science? I must not say that you do not know, but from the teacher's perspective, we are not much more comfortable about science, which are misinterpreted by common man. So let us start from the block 1, that what is science and from different perspectives and what is the nature of science. Actually, what is science? Science is a composite discipline. It is not a singular subject. It is not a singular subject. It is an integrated discipline. Sometimes it is said physics is science, chemistry is science, biology is science. But do you think that environmental science, political science, economic science, there are many subjects which are attached to the science subject, science term besides it. So actually, what is science? What is the difference of the connotation of science? Actually, when the constitutional provision, it has been written under fundamental duty that scientific temper to be developed among the citizens of India, and Article 51A(h). In this article, it is written that the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform are to be developed, and it is incorporated in the fundamental duty under the Indian constitutions. So from this point, you are to be serious, to be sure that what we have thought about science. Really, what is science? Sometimes some says science is very vague term. Science is not defined in a singular definition, because some say science is systematic study, some say science is organized knowledge, some say science is nothing but what scientists say. Science is nothing but what scientists do. Actually, what is science then? Science is a doing subject. Science is not a subject to learn, to hear only, or to describe only. Science is a subject which can be possible, which is possible by description, by experimentation, by inference drawing, or we can say science seeks the truth. Science is not truth, rather science seeks the truth. That means truth is also changeable. Truth is not permanent. So when truth is not permanent, so it is the duty of a science to seek truth. That means what we have found today, and if it is truth for today, it may not be truth for tomorrow, because in the tomorrow, in the light of different experiences, in the light of different times, in the light of different exposures, we can say that it may change. It may change. So in the light of changing perspective, science cannot be singly, it cannot be defined in a singular term. Science is primarily, it has been started from a Latin term scientia, that means knowledge. So we can say the science is nothing but knowledge. Science is a concept. Science is a concept. What is a concept? Like if I say, what is man? Man is a concept. What is school? School is a concept. But your name is Ramo. Ramo is not a concept, but name is a concept. Boy is a concept. Girl is a concept. Like that, science is a concept. So we have to know what are the important definitions, important concept, important its elements, attributes. We have to know about the science concept. Science is a method. Science may be a process. Some say science is a product. What we are living in this 21st century, we are comfortably living. We are living with all amenities, all facilities, all development of science and technology becomes our life, helping our life to be more comfortable. So what is that? That means science is a product. We are using the product of science. So at that time, if I define science, science is a product. Some say science is a process. What is that process? Science is a process of inquiry. Man is born with inquisitiveness, curiosity. Curiosity is the inborn nature of the individual. That means when the man is born, the child is born, he is curious by nature. So by the very nature of curiosity, we can learn many things. We can learn new knowledges. We can ask why of this phenomena, how it is happening, what is that? So all the answers, if we are to embrace, if we are to welcome these, then perhaps these are nothing but the scientific knowledge. So science is an inquiry. So the way of learning science is to do science. Science is not only a collection of evidences. Science is not only a collection of evidences. What kind of evidences, what kind of proofs? If it is there, then you cannot sum it, you cannot add it, you cannot pull it, and it is science. Rather, science is an integrated subject. Science is integrated, very much interrelated. It attends to what happenings are there around us. Then science perhaps try to explain what is happening, why it is happening, how it is happening, then perhaps science could better explain these questions. So it is science when he tries to explain about the cause of happenings, about the effect of happenings, about the result of happenings. Science is actually an integral part of our daily life. Can you think that without science we can live? Perhaps not. Because when we can say that without science we cannot live, at that time you are sure that science is an integral part of life. Life and science cannot be separated. Sometimes when we define science, some say the science is what scientists do. Actually, then there is a question: what scientists do? First point: scientists are human beings. ଯେମିତି ଆମେ ଖାଉଛୁ, ଆମେ ହସୁଛୁ, ଆମେ ପଢୁଛୁ, ଆମର ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଏଗୋନି ଅଛି, ଓରିଜ ଅଛି, ଆମେ ଜୟଫୁଲ ମୋଡରେ ବି ରହୁଛି, we enjoy. At that time, in this way, scientists also enjoy. Scientists also, they have oris. Scientists also have their satisfaction. They have also rivalry. So we are also the part of the human beings. So as the scientists are human beings, so we cannot separate science from humanity, science from human beings. Scientists also have feelings of joy, competitions, success, and failures. So this is about the approximate the concept of science. So what are the nature of science? What are the nature of science? So we can say the science is not a different subject. It is a subject from other planets. It is not that. Rather, what we do, how we behave, daily life-bearing experiences, these are all are coming under the fold of science. So what are the aspects of nature of science? You can see the aspects of science. If you have book, you can refer to pages 12. Science knowledge is long lasting. It should be cared. It should be taken into considerations. There should be well mind infused into that. The scientific knowledge is long lasting. Scientific knowledge is absolute. It is not abstract. It may change because it is tentative. Because in the light of present information, in the light of present invention, in the light of any evidences, we may say scientific knowledge can change. So it is tentative, rather it is long lasting. Empirical evidence is used to refine and support ideas in science. Many ideas are there, many evidences are there. In long run, in the age when the time is changing, when the persons are coming and the ever-changing personality, ever-changing time, in this way, all the individuals, they are to try. What was truth today, whether it is truth today, what was truth yesterday, whether it is truth today, whether it is truth today, whether it will be truth tomorrow, we may not say. We may not say. In this way, empirical evidence is used to refine the scientific knowledge which was yesterday or today. Then it has a sociological and historical factors which are playing an important role in the construction of scientific knowledge. When the knowledge have evolved by the scientist, maybe by theory, by the principles, by the law, by the various experimentations, it cannot be said that without society, without history, science is evolved, because every scientist has a history, every scientist has a lifespan, every scientist have lived in a particular society, in a particular environment. So we cannot reject that science is some other phenomena which is not related to society. Perhaps if there is no society, if there is no family, if there is no history, then perhaps there is no science. Then laws and theories play a central role in developing scientific knowledge. Yet they have different functions, because laws and theories, when there are scientific laws and theories, they are developed by some scientists, they are developed some personalities at different point of time, but they have different functions. according to different objectives or different aims. What we are intending to use it, it may be used in a particular fashion or it may not be used in that particular fashion. So laws and theory, they are not to be utilized in whatever wishes you wish it should not happen. Then what is science then? Accurate record keeping. If I do an experiment, I observe it, I maintain a particular record, what was the observation, what has the experimentation made, what inferences I am drawing, whether one experiment was conducted by a scientist yesterday, whether next personality, their followers, when they are experimenting, when they are repeating that experiment, whether that is validated, whether the particular experiment which is holding good in summer season, whether it is hold good in winter season. So in this way, various things are to be cared. Actually, science is a creative endeavor. We cannot say that science is only record keeping. Science is only pulling various information. Science is nothing but various pool of concepts. Science is nothing but various summation of theories and laws. Rather, it is a creative pursuit. If one is able to, if one is engaged with creative thinking, critical ability, then he is using his intelligence. He differentiates, he classifies, he predicts. So perhaps these are the important verbs, these are the important doings, these are the important actions a teacher should have, so that we can enter these terms under science. Because science is a process. Science is a process. Science and sometimes it is said that science and technology are same, but actually science and technology are not same. Science and technology, they are related to each other. Science has contribution for technology, and sometimes technology has some impact on science. So they have relative influence on each other. Rather, they are not same. Maybe they are similar. In this way, we can say, what is science then? So comfortably, we can say science is into three parts. One is science is a process. Science is a product. Science is a social enterprise. So when we say science is a process, what is that process? Process of learning, process of learning. So as a teacher, as a future teacher, you are going to be a science teacher. So at that time, what you are intended to do? What is your primary job for your students? Primary job of your primary job as a teacher, your primary job is not to give information, scientific knowledge, because few years back, the role of a teacher was that teacher is to disseminate information. Now the information that has been changed. There is a major shift. So the role of a teacher has been changed. So now the role of a teacher is not to disseminate information. Rather, he is to help the students to create information, to create knowledge. Because the position of a learner has been changed. He is not to listen. He is not to memorize by rote. He is to understand. He is to create knowledge. He is to construct knowledge. So he is to construct scientific knowledge. So what is scientific knowledge? He is to experiment. He is to think. He is to relate. He is to object. He is to differentiate. He is to classify. He is to measure. He is to estimate. He is to assess. He is to predict. He is to hypothesize. So these verbs, that means observation, classification, measurement, prediction, hypothesize, then in this way, classification, then a relation, these terms are very fundamental for the students to know new things, to construct new knowledge. So the knowledge, if it is constructed by the students, then it is long lasting, then it is more joyful, then it is more meaningful. For that reason, the scientific knowledge must be more meaningful. Scientific knowledge must be more meaningful, and it should be more meaningful if it is created by the students. So what is the job of a teacher? The teacher is to give various opportunities. The teacher is to give various kind of provisions. The teacher is to give certain various problems. He is to give various quizzes. He is to give various activities. So that by doing that activities, by doing that problems, by solving that quizzes, maybe by themselves, by himself, or by cooperating with the friends, by discussion with the teachers, by referring to the library books, by doing activities with their friends, there is a possibility that they can construct knowledge, and it is the real knowledge, it is the new knowledge, it is the knowledge in innovation, it is the personal experience. Then at that time the learning is meaningful. So science aspires for that. And as your teachers, you are to deal the students of your classroom. So the important duty, the important respect, the important aspect of your learning should be that the students should really be scientific. That means the curiosity should be generated. They should be oriented in the process of learning. Few days back, before 10 years back, before 2005 and CF comes, at that time the role of a teacher was different, and now the role of the teachers as well as of the students have changed. And for that reason, the scientific knowledge or scientific principles, scientific concepts, or the notion of a science, the notion of science education is to be changed, and we are to confront that science is this and science is not that. So now, when we are to know more about science, we have to discuss about different topics. What is observation? What is inference? Observations, if I say, what is observations? Perhaps many students can answer what we see in our eye, but it is not all observation. We have 5 sense organs. Then when we test, when we get data, when we get information through 5 sense organs, when we experience by using 5 sense organs, all are nothing but observation. When we see a food, when we observe food, when we observe fruits, so it is by sight. But when I touch it, I observe its texture. Then when I taste it, I taste its sweetness. So by using 5 sense organs, maybe by hearing, maybe by touching, maybe by tasting, maybe by feeling, maybe by seeing. So all the sense organs, when it is used to know about a subject, know about a fruit, know about an object, it is all inclusive in the process of observation. So the first important duty of a student who is to learn science, that he should develop his observation skill. So when we are to emphasize the students that they should develop the observation skills, at that time it is guaranteed that the students are to develop their observation skills. That means they are to be more scientific. They are to be more scientific. So in order to be scientific, in order to develop the science inquiry bent of mind, in order to develop their scientific attitude, in order to develop in the method of science, so they are to develop in the process of learning science. If the process of learning science is missed, then perhaps your delivery of speech about the knowledge of science, it is bad. For that reason, the important is when the science is to be taught in the classes, it is most important that the teacher should remain in that mind that I will not teach science, rather I will helping the students, I will help the students so that they will learn science. So what is their learning? Learning is nothing but they have to learn the process of science. They have to learn the process of science. So what is that process? We'll later on discuss about that process. Then what are the important domains in science? So what are the limitations of science? To what extent to what extension the science has made. Mainly, it has been there are mainly three domains we can discuss about science. One is it is a body of knowledge. It is a body of knowledge. Second, it is a process of inquiry. Third, it is a way of thinking. So when we say a process of inquiry, at the time, because it is a process of learning, I have said just few seconds before that science is a process. So when I am saying, I am giving him emphasis on science as a process at the time, that means process of inquiry. One is observation, second measuring, third estimation, fourth inference drawing, inferring, fifth classification. We are classifying various fruits basing on some characteristics, basing on some attributes. We are classifying main, we are classifying various vegetables. In that way, the classification, it is a particular character, it is a particular process. Then hypothesizing, that means guessing, intelligent assumptions. Then it is experimenting. Without experimenting, you cannot say that the students should gain knowledge, which is permanent, which is more enjoyable, which is more joyful, which is more meaningful. So experimentation, it is one of the most important points. Say, for that reason, I may call science is a doing subject. Science is a subject with verbs. Science is not a subject to be only learned or only heard. Science is nothing but it is just something by concluding some evidences, concluding by some experiments, concluding after some experiments, rather summarization, consolidation, then conclusion. So after that, because when you are to conclude, when you are to derive summarization, when you are to consolidate, at the time, upon certain evidences, upon certain experimental, the results due to experiments, you are to derive a conclusion. So it is a deriving conclusion. It is also a process of learning. So in this way, when science is thought of, when science is to be defined, at the time it has been thought in that process. Then it is nothing but it is one of the important domains in science. Science is a process of inquiry. Second, science is a body of knowledge. So what is knowledge? If I ask you, what is knowledge? Knowledge is nothing but knowledge is noun. So in the noun knowledge, there is a verb involved. Knowing is a process. Know is a verb. So in the process of knowing, after some time elapsed, after some time gap, there is a possibility, there may be a possibility that knowledge is available. So after the process is over, you are getting facts, you are getting definitions, you are getting principles, you are getting theory, you are getting laws. So laws, theories, concepts, definitions, facts, all these terms are coming under the science facts, science knowledge. Besides this, one is important that it is a way of thinking. Science is a way of thinking, how we are thinking. So under the important domain, based upon evidences, when we are thinking, we are referring a statement, we are stating something, you are being vocal, we are talking, we are discussing. At the time, there is an evidence before that. And when I'm talking, sometimes it is creative, I think so I am speaking. This is my generalizations, this is my experiences, this is my creation of knowledge, this is my creation of experiences. Then sometimes what I'm saying, what I'm inferring, what I'm stating, maybe it is the result of our previous it may be the result of our previous experiences. Because what I am today, it is the resultant of the before some year of experiences, what I am. So in this way, what the science today, it is nothing but it is the resultant of many experiences of many persons, many curiosity of many scientists. It is the result of many theorem, many knowledge systems, many problem situations. All these are coming to interact, or they have an influence in the present day of scientific facts. So in this way, we are to think science as it is a way of thinking, because sometimes it is a creative. So under domain, we can comfortably categorize these three domains. One is body of knowledge, second a process of inquiry, then third is a way of thinking. Then when science is a body of knowledge, it is nothing but, again I am giving stress that scientific knowledge are not truth always, as much as time to come, rather it is tentative. Opportunity should be given to the learners to feel, experience, explore, and analyze. These four important terms. Because when we are to teach science to our students, we are not to teach only scientific knowledge. Rather, we are to help them so that they can learn science. Because important learning is more meaningful, important science learning is more meaningful, more enjoyable, more fruitful when they learn by themselves, when it is created by themselves. So how it is possible? So the opportunity should be given, the various provisions should be given, the activities should be given, the various facilities should be made around the child, maybe in the school atmosphere, maybe in the home conditions. So what is given? So they should feel for that. The students should experience. The students should explore from that. When the problem is given, when various problems are given, they should think for some time. They should analyze. When the various problematic situations, physical situations should be given to the child, the various groups should be made. The child should talk together. They should discuss among their friends. They should refer the library books. They should consult the teachers. But the teacher should not, the teacher may not, the teacher must not solve the problem by its own. Rather, he helps the tricks. He gives the tricks. He guides. He facilitates. He tries to solve the problem, but not directly, by the help of the students. So when the students are actively engaged, when the students are actively engaged in the learning atmosphere, it should be cared as a science teacher, as you are the future science teacher. After, the students should generalize by themselves and develop their own body of knowledge. So at that time, this is the real science knowledge. This is the real science knowledge. Then science as a process of inquiry, I have classified. Then science as a way of thinking, and it should be given importance. Then we can say there are three important domains: science as a process of learning, science as a body of knowledge, science as a way of thinking. Integrating all science is a social enterprise. Without society, science cannot be dreamed. Without society, science cannot be thought of. Without society, science cannot progress. So in that way, without society, science is nothing. For that reason, we can say science is building itself. Science is growing. Science is developing. And the basis is the society. The basis is society. For that reason, sometimes it is said the important nature of science, important domain of science, we can say that science is nothing but a social enterprise. Then, what is the importance of science? When science is taught, when science is learned by the students, what contribution it is made for the students? There is development of some value. What is that value? Value means importance. Value means money. Value means which is worth in the present time. So what is the value? What is developed if it is learnt by the students, if it is taught by the teachers, or else honesty. Honesty is taught, honesty is learned. Sometimes one is rather very doubt. Huh? After reading science, after learning science, whether honesty is there. Honesty is something, the subject of arts. It is science. Science is very much mathematical. But science is important subject which creates value to the maximum. How? One by one, I am explaining. What is honesty? Interdependence, cooperation, objectivity, environmental conscience, freedom from prejudice, concern for life. Honesty is built. How? When a child is experimenting, when a child is learning, when a child is debating, when a child is interacting, when a child is engaged in the activity, if he is honest, if he is keen in observation, if he is right in his interpretation, if he is right in his logical thinking. So if the child is honest, then he can best describe. He can describe in a best terminology. So at the time, you can say that honesty is a result, honesty is a component, honesty is a value which can be realized by learning or teaching science. When I am learning science, suppose an experiment is given and I am doing that experiment, the result of mine does not match with the other. Consulted my friend, he said that my result is that. So I copied him. So when I copied him, it is not the right observation, rather it is an observation of that boy. So it is not honesty. So honesty means what I observe, what is the observation of my experiment, I should write that. It may be rejected by my teacher, it may be rejected by anyone, any evaluator, it may go wrong. But I am honest that what I have seen, what I have observed, I have written. So that is honesty. Interdependence. If there is no dependence between various subjects, if there is no dependence between teacher and students, if we do not depend with many personality, either at the home condition or the school condition or in the society, then perhaps science cannot be. Science is not impossible. Science cannot lead. Science cannot prosper this society. For that reason, we are dependent for each other. Cooperation is there. Without cooperation, science is not possible. So cooperation, when I am doing experiment, someone is helping me. When the teacher is experimenting, the students are helping. When you are engaged in the laboratory assistant, laboratory attendant, they help. So they help each other because cooperation is there. Without cooperation, there is no activity which may be conducted, may not be conducted by a single individual. So there is a need of cooperation of many. So it is a value. Cooperation is a value. Objectivity. What is objectivity? Science is a subject where objectivity is maximum regarded. Maximum, the important concentration, important term, which is objectivity. In science, objectivity is given importance. Objectivity, the opposition of objectivity is not subjectivity. Subjectivity, flexibility. So there is less flexibility in case of science. Rather, there is more objectivity, objective measurement, objective testing, objective data collection. So objective, or it is a then environmental science cannot be taught. It cannot be brought. The science cannot be solved. Science has come. Science is born in a society. So environmental concern it has and it is an important value. Then it is freedom from prejudice. We are not to follow prejudice, rather we have to be objective, we have to be absolute, we have to be based on the experimentation, we have to be based on the inference drawing, we have to have to recognize that there should we should not be biased by the prejudice. Then it is a value for life. It is a value for life because if learning science is experimenting, but if he is not comfortable with life, he does not respect the so means it is also certain value are inculcated to be inculcated in teaching. So this is the preliminary discussion about science, nature of science, domain of science, value of science. In this way, the preliminary introductory part of science learning or science teaching and learning and the connotation of science. We will concentrate a very important part, that is aims and objectives of science teaching and learning. So what are the aims and objectives of teaching and learning? If it is unit 2, at that time you recognize of science learning. So what are the aims and objectives? What are the aims and objectives? These are, because you are familiar with. What are the aims? Broader. It can be realized, and for that a long-term vision may be required. And to goal setting. It is related to vision, related to goals of life. Then from the goals of life, it has come to aim of life. Then from aim of life to it has come aim of education. Then from aim of education, it has come to aim of teaching science, aim of learning science, or aims and objectives of teaching learning science. So what are the aims? As you are comfortable with the science, with the definition of science, about the connotation of science, perhaps from you can develop the aim of teaching science, aim of learning science. So aim of learning
Dr. De, are you online? Dr. De? Are you able to hear me? नहीं मोबाइल नहीं 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 आपको स्क्रीन रे सुना जाउची. Are you able to hear me in the screen? So you are disconnected, so please reconnect again. Students, please wait. Due to some technical reasons, our counselor is disconnected. So till such time he is connected, please wait. Yes, Dr. Dev, please switch on your microphone. Please switch on your microphone. Yes, yes.
Sure. Sure.
Yes, you're audible now. Now you can go ahead.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, yes. You are audible now. You can go ahead.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. So, dear students, then we will concentrate now on the topics aims and objectives of science teaching learning. So, when I am to just a few seconds before I am disconnected, so I am repeating again. What are the aims and objectives of science teaching learning? Aims are very much broader in nature, which can be realized, which may require a long-term duration, and objectives may be realized in a shorter duration. But when I am to say that what is science learning, what is the aims of science learning, or what is the aims of science teaching learning, at the time we have to be comfortable with knowledge of what is the aim of life, what is the goal of a life. So from the goal of a life, aim of a life, aim of education has been derived, and from the aim of education, we have derived the aim of science, because it is a subject and it has some aims and objectives to be realized, so that a teaching learning process of the students would be possible. So what are the aims of teaching? Because you have been discussed about the nature, about the definitions, about the domains, about the value of teaching, about the value of science. From that aspect also, we can derive what are the aims of teaching learning science. One important aims of teaching science is that the propagation of science knowledge. Propagation means we have to deliver the science. The students should learn. So science means science concept, science principles, science knowledge, science theorem, science laws. So at that time, when you have to deliver the various science as a product, what we have discussed, facts, definitions, theorems, laws, at that time, these are the important aims to be realized by the children. So it is the first most important aim of this science learning. But what is the meaning of that knowledge? So one important aim of science learning is that what you have knowledge, science knowledge, it should be connected beyond your class hour, beyond your school hour. So if the science knowledge is connected to your life situations, beyond your school atmosphere, then it is the right aim of learning science. Ensuring that learning shifts away from the rote method. Few years back, science learning was maybe based on the rote method. We have less understanding. We are only memorizing what teacher is asking us to memorize. But it is not that. After NCF 2005, after the constructivist approach has entered into our educational setup, at that time, we are in a mood that the learning should be shifted from the rote method. Rather, it should be shifted from the rote method to more understanding, more comprehension, more construction of knowledge. Hello, students. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Then, enriching the curriculum so that it goes beyond textbook. मानसिक में ये वीडियो हम बंद कर दियो तो पिक्चर आप कहीं थी हेलो मानसी मलिक
सर
तो पिक्चर बंद करो वीडियोटा so that you can तमें तुम्हारा एक पिक्चर में आसी जाए I am uncomfortable जे whether I am मोर लिंक फेल है कि सब बड़े आरसी भुवनेश्वर आसला तो तुम्हारा पिक्चर आसी जाए तो ठीक अच्छी. Then third aim is enriching curriculum so that it goes beyond textbook. Because the textbook is one of the medium. Textbook is not final. That means beyond textbook, the students should learn. The students should learn from the library. The students should learn from the marketplace. The students should learn from the various problems that face in the home conditions, maybe in the roads, maybe in the school conditions, out of the schools, maybe by co-curricular activities, by engaging in various projects, by engaging in various seminars, by engaging themselves in various brainstorming sessions. So, by various activities, there is a possibility of learning science and which are beyond the textbook. But all are included under the curriculum. So, that curriculum should be enriched. Then, the one important aim of teaching science that the examination should be more flexible. The examination should be more flexible. It should not be more rigid. And the examination should be integrated with the classroom life. When a teacher is interacting with the students, when the teacher is interacting with the students in the class, at that time, the students should be examined. The students should be assessed. The students should be evaluated. So the examination should not be should not be thought of as an external burden to the students. So in that way, our aim of science learning or teaching should be that examination should be more flexible and examination should be much more integrated in the classroom life. Then, nurturing an overriding identity informed by carrying concerns with the democratic policy of the country. When our democratic policy is there, we have to develop the scientific temper, we have to develop in the scientific attitude, we have to develop the scientific interest of the students. The students should have an affinity to innovate. The students should construct their own knowledge. The students should go forward and they should think out of scenery. So in that way, when they have to develop a creative mind, they have to develop an innovative mind, when they have to construct a new thing which is not there before. So for that reason, we should aspire for from our children. So for that, a congenial atmosphere should be made available, should be made congenial for the student. Various provisions should be made, various opportunities should be given to the student so that the aim should be realized. So what we have discussed, they are nothing but various aspects which is related to aims and objectives of learning or teaching learning science. We are now giving emphasis on what are the aims and objectives of teaching learning, and first we shall discuss about what aims of teaching science education or general aims of science education. One general aim is knowing the facts and principles of science. First point, because scientific knowledge, scientific principles, scientific rules are to be known. Second, acquire skills and understanding method and processes. Acquire different skills and understanding about various methods and scientific process for generation and validation of scientific knowledge. So only scientific knowledge is meaningless if it is not validated. So scientific knowledge we have to acquire, the students have to acquire, as well as they have to validate in the common life experiences, common in real life situations. Then third is develop an historical and developmental perspective of science. Science is a social enterprise. So when I have discussed in some time before, the science is a social enterprise. Science cannot be thought that science is a blunder. Science only destroys. Science only invents. But if an invention is there, if it is not doing the right, if it is not doing the good of the country, good of the society, what is the meaning of that science? Then it should be related to the environment, local as well as global. Local as well as global. So recently, when Modi said that we should be local as well as global, we shall use local as global. That means we have to use our resources, we have to use our knowledge, we have to use our memory, we have to use our intelligence, and we shall build up upon ourselves. So it should be the aim of teaching science, because if we have to build up of yourself. So how to construct, how to develop yourself, how to innovate yourself. So that should be the real aim of your life. That should be the real aim of your science teaching. So it is the one important aim. Then other is requisite theoretical knowledge, practical technological skills. You should aim at. Then nurture the natural curiosity. Every individual is curious in nature. Curiosity is inborn in nature. And curiosity must be enlightened. Some students are very shy, but that must be broken. That must be broken. So curiosity must be channelized. It should be expressed. It should be channelized through various activities, through various channels, through various interactions. Maybe with the parents, maybe with the students, maybe with their teachers, maybe with the various circumstances which are more congenial, more comfortable to the student. Then, imbibe the values of honesty, integrity, and cooperation. Because science learning is such that if you are not honest, if you are not having an integrated personality, if you do not cooperate, if you are not cooperative, if there is no lack of cooperation, perhaps science teaching and learning is impossible. So science teaching and learning, the most important aim is developing the value, honesty, cooperation, integrity, concern of life, and preservation of environment. Because if the science is learned and we are devastating environment, we are destroying the environment, and it has a bad concern of life. Life is very much boredom. Life has become boredom. So it is not science. So science makes the life enjoyable. Science makes the life less prejudice. Science makes the life more comfortable. Science makes the life healthier, happier. So it is the right aim of teaching only science. So science is nothing but the important aim of teaching science is cultivate scientific temper, cultivate scientific interest. It should be critical thinking must be developed. Then freedom from fear, we shall be fearless. When a science is taught, science is learned, then there is an important aim that creativity, scientific temper, objectivity, critical thinking, freedom from fear, freedom from prejudice, the child should have. The child should inculcate these values. So these are the general aims of teaching science. So really, what is the difference between aims and objectives? Aims are more general and objectives are specific. Objectives are specific. So when the aims are to be realized, they are to be realized through various soft parts. Because when we have to aims are general, aims are broader, aims are realized in a long-term duration. So if the short-term duration, short-term objects, short-term goals, short-term aims are realized, then perhaps it will lead to realization of aims. Because aims for realization of aims, there may be a required time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. But for the realization of objectives, if it is made, then all the objectives under a specific aims, it may take a shorter time and pull together, it will realize their aims. So objectives are various. Objectives can be termed as, objectives can be thought of as short-term aims, short-term goal. So what is that? Developing learning objectives. What are the learning objectives? In order to you to be more comfortable, what are the objectives? We can say objectives is nothing but purpose. Objectives is nothing but it is purpose. What are the objectives of learning? In different terminology, we can say what are the purpose of learning? What are the purpose of learning? In a rough term, in a very basic term, it is purpose. So what is the purpose? There is an aim that the student will increase their knowledge, the student will increase in their scientific concept, scientific principles. So objective is that this child knows, the student will know, the student will be able to know. So what is know? What is the meaning of knowledge? So objectives is, it is clarified by the one psychologist, B.S. Bloom, in 1956. He said he had a better classification. One is, the name is Bloom's taxonomy of instructional objectives, and he has made it in 1956. In 1956, Bloom's taxonomy of instructional objectives was been. You can refer. If the students you have book with you, you can refer page number 36. Developing learning objectives. So, in this Bloom's taxonomy of instructional objectives, what is that? Taxonomy means classification of instructional objectives, and it is made by the Bloom. So he has classified all the instructional objectives into three parts. One is cognitive domain, second is affective domain, third is psychomotor domain. But Bloom's taxonomy has phrased one with related to cognitive domain. He has classified cognitive domain into 6 parts. And what is meant by cognitive domain? Cognitive domain is nothing but it is knowledge and intellectual abilities. Cognitive means it is knowledge and intellectual abilities. So cognition, it is a process. It is a process in the brain. There is a difference between knowledge and cognition. Cognition is an ability. Knowledge may be a product. Knowing is a process. But knowledge is not a process. So there we shall clarify difference between two terms. One is knowledge and one is cognition. But in Bloom's taxonomy, the knowledge and cognition, they are taken together. There is no difference between cognition and knowledge according to Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy has referred 6 classifications, and that is knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So, in this statement, that 2 major components are there. In the statement of the objective, 2 major components we have found: some subject matter content and description what is to be done. Example I am giving: a learner will be able to define motion. So what is that? It is an objective. Objective means, simply you say, it is a purpose. What is that purpose of learning? That a learner will be able to define motion. So after the class is over, after the instruction is over, the teacher expects that he will be able to define motion. So this kind of statement, it is according to the Bloom's taxonomy. And when it is stated, there are 2 connotations. One is motion, it is a noun or noun phrase, and another is define. So define is a verb. Motion is nothing but it is a concept. It is a noun. So when instructional objective is to be written, it is to be written in 2 terms. One is knowledge term, second is cognition term. But when it is classified by Bloom, it is one thing. So when a learner will be able to define motion, we are thinking that it is one thing, definition of motion. So definition of motion, it is coming under knowledge, but it is a wrong concept, because after inclusion of NCF 2005, National Curriculum Framework 2005, it has been changed. What is that change? I am speaking one by one, so it is very you should be very careful to understand this. So in original taxonomy, noun and verb aspect, we are part of knowledge dimension. Verb aspect means define, noun aspect means motion. So they 2 are the parts of the knowledge domain in according to Bloom's taxonomy. Now, after 2005, after the inclusion of NCF, National Curriculum Framework, it is becoming two portions. One is verb, one is knowledge portions. One is knowledge, another is cognitive portions, cognition or cognitive ability. So in this way, we will discuss what is the difference between cognitive domain according to Bloom before 2005 and what is the change or shift or change of revised taxonomy of Bloom after 2005. We can say original Bloom's taxonomy and revised taxonomy. Original Bloom's taxonomy, I will again, I am to confirm, I am to give you, I am giving another stress that I want to concentrate. I want you to concentrate because it is very much important in your lesson planning, in your future lessons, in your concept formation. When Bloom classified instructional objectives, it has classified cognitive domain under 6 subcategories. One is knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So these 6 subcategories are there. And within that, we are always accustomed with statement of instructional objective. And in that instructional objective, the one knowledge was referring maybe in a verb or in a process. Because objectives is nothing but a process and noun or something, the knowledge is separate. So knowledge has one component and from within that the cognitive processes is there, which is nothing but objectives. So objective and knowledge they go together. But after it is misunderstood by some of the experts, by some of the educationists, by some of the teachers, when there is confusion, when there is misinterpretation, at the time it is clarified after 2001. In 2001, Anderson and Class-1, they revised the Bloom's taxonomy and they made it more clear. What is that? Because they have divided into 2 parts. One is knowledge dimension, second is cognitive process dimensions. Before 2005, it is included in one dimension, that is knowledge dimension. Noun and verb, they both together. They are included together. But after 2005, the cognition, it is given more importance. The construction, it is given more importance. The constructive-based approach, it is given more importance. The learner is given more importance. The learning environment is given more importance. For that reason, it is revised into modified Bloom's taxonomy. So what is that modification? What is that major drift? What is that major shift? You try to concentrate. One is, in the Bloom's taxonomy, it was knowledge, then comprehension, then application, then analysis, then synthesis, then evaluation. Then you see that all the terms are in the noun form. Knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. You see in the revised taxonomy. In case of knowledge, it is remember. It is remember, not knowledge, because knowledge is very abstract. When I am to say that the student will gain knowledge, what knowledge? Knowledge of terminology, knowledge of concept. Knowledge means, so it is very difficult. So it is very much, it is not conclusive term. It is not the understandable term. It is not comprehensive. So for that reason, it is modified to remember. So what we are interpreting knowledge, now it is changed to remember. Remember. That means we have to memorize. We have to memorize. So when knowledge was there, what we are used to do? We are only listening and memorizing. When we are memorizing and vomiting in the exam, so that means we are comfortable. We are saying that we have knowledge. So now it is changed to remember. So it is revised taxonomy, and all our terms are, it is verb form. First, remember. Then it is comprehension, it was there, it is understand. Application, it is apply. Analysis, it is analyze. Synthesis, it was in the 5th stage. So it has come to 6th stage, that is create. And in the Bloom's taxonomy, in original Bloom's taxonomy, evaluation was at the last, the 6th point, and it has come to 5th point of revised taxonomy, and it is evaluate. So in the revised taxonomy, in case of, in contrast with Bloom's taxonomy, the new revised taxonomy will be recited as this: remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Because creation, it is most important and it is most to be given consideration. That means the constructive approach, it gives importance. Because the child should construct, the child should create. So when the cognitive ability is to be given importance, along with the knowledge components, for that region, the statement of objectives is being separate. Before 2005, the instructional objectives, when it was stated like this: a learner will be able to define motion. And define motion, it was all categorized under the component of a knowledge. So, but at the time, it is confused to the students, to the learners, to the experts, and it is revised. And we will now, it will concentrate that a child will be able to define motion. That means define, it is nothing but it is a cognitive ability, and motion is nothing but it is, or speed, it is nothing but knowledge component. So cognitive process and knowledge dimension, knowledge component and cognitive component, they are part together. So we will specially discuss with knowledge dimensions and cognitive dimensions separately. What is knowledge dimensions? There are four types of knowledge. One is factual knowledge, second conceptual knowledge, third is procedural knowledge, fourth is metacognitive knowledge. So what is factual knowledge? Factual knowledge is knowledge of terminology, knowledge of specific details, knowledge of elements. What is the conceptual knowledge? Knowledge of classification, knowledge of categories, knowledge of principles, knowledge of theories. What is the procedural knowledge? Knowledge of subject-specific skills, knowledge of algorithm, knowledge of techniques, knowledge of methods, knowledge of criteria for determining when the use of appropriate procedures. What is metacognitive knowledge? Knowledge for knowledge set, strategic knowledge, self-knowledge, knowledge about cognitive tasks, including appropriate contextual and conditional knowledge. So when we have to know what to know, what is the process of knowing, how we know. So if in this way we have to ask questions, then that is nothing but metacognition. So it is different parts of the knowledge. So what is the cognitive process? Cognitive process is nothing but we will concentrate on subcategory of 6 categories. One is remember, second is understand, third is apply, fourth is analyze, and last is create. So when we can say that remember, so recognizing, recalling. So what is remember? Remembrance means whether you have power of recalling, whether you have power of recognizing. So important verbs are there. If you recall, if you recognize, these are nothing but the symbolization of remembering. When you are understanding, what is understanding? Understanding is a term, but what are the subcategories? What are the verbs? If the student is interpreting, if the student gives examples, if the student can classify, if the student can summarize, if the student can infer, if the student can compare, if the student can explain. So these terms are nothing but the terms relating to understand. So what are the subcategories under apply? Apply means executing, implementing. What is the process? Subcategories under the analyze. Under the analyze, you can say it is nothing but differentiating, organizing, then attributing. So when we have to say evaluate, that means checking, critics, making critics. Then what is create? Create means generating, create means planning, create means producing. So these are the actual verbs. So cognitive ability, when as a teacher, you want to realize that kind of a process, cognitive process. Cognitive process means the process in the brain, the process in the knowledge component, the process in the cognition. So if a child recalls, if a child recognizes, that means you can say the child is remembering. If the child gives example, if the child compares, if the child classifies, then you can say that yes, the child understands. If the child is implementing, if the child is executing, if the child is using, then you can refer, yes, he is applying. Because all these 6 categories, cognitive processes, में ये आता है that remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So in this way, we have to give emphasis on modified blue taxonomy, which are categorized under 6 domains, 6 cognitive revised domains, in the form of remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. But most important that when you are to write instructional objectives, how to it is to be stated, it should be stated and focused in 2-dimensional chart. In 2-dimensional chart means when an instructional objectives are to be stated, it has 2 formats. It has 2 directions. One is in one direction cognitive process, in another dimension knowledge dimensions. In knowledge dimensions, towards it may be horizontal, it may be longitudinal, and in the horizontal, it may be cognitive processes. In the knowledge dimensions, there are 4 types of knowledge dimensions: factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. In the cognitive process dimensions, one is remembering, second understand, third apply, then analysis, then evaluate, then create. So, I am giving examples. Suppose one statement, one objective is stated like this. Learners will be able to define the term speed. Learners will be able to define the term speed. So, what is that? In which box we have to write? Before 2005. Before 2005, it was included under singular terminology knowledge dimensions. But now it has been incorporated in 2 types. One is cognitive process dimensions and second is knowledge dimensions. So it should be made in a block, in a table. So in this way, what is that? Learners will be able to define term speed. That means define, it is a verb and it is a cognitive process and it is coming under understanding. It is coming under understanding. When a child can define, it is coming under understanding. Sometimes it is confused or misunderstand that sir, whether define is not coming under knowledge, whether define is not coming under remembering. Yes, suppose a definition has been given by teacher in yesterday class, and today the teacher will ask you, Ram, can you remember what definition I have said yesterday? If Ram can explain and can detect, can state the exact definition of the particular term, what is explained by teachers yesterday, it is nothing but it is knowledge, it is remembering. Because actually it is recalled by the student, it is recognized. So the process, if it is recall, if it is recognition, then it is remembering. But suppose it is the definition is not given, only the examples were given, only the experiences were given, only the task was given, and after some time, if a teacher asks, what is the definition of that particular topic, what is the definition of that particular term, and if a student by himself, he can create a definition. If he gives a definition, perhaps it is due to his understanding. So definition is coming under understanding. So definitions, we cannot outrightly say it is under domain, it is under subcategory understanding or it is under remembering. So it depends upon the context, whether it is taught previously or it is to be thought of by the student for the first time. So if it is for the first time by the student, by constructor by himself, by understanding him by himself, so it is under it will be kept under understanding. If it is recalling, if it is by recognizing, it will come under remembering. In this way, we have to plot various statements of instructional objectives under a tabular form, in one dimension, it is knowledge dimension, in other dimensions, it is cognitive process dimension, and as a science teacher.
Hello? 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 Sir, as your voice is not clear, sir. We couldn't understand what you are saying right now.
Voice is not clear.
Sir, as your voice is not clear, we could not understand what you are saying.
Whether it is clear now?
No, sir.
Hello?
Sir, I think there may be some connectivity problem. Because of it, it's going on right like that.
Whether I am audible? Now whether I am audible? Hello? Hello? Whether I am audible?
Sir, there is little bit noise. I think little bit noise in background.
May you try to listen because it is very complex. I am again trying to give emphasis on the instructional objectives. Okay? Hello? Are you clear? Are you hearing?
Your voice is very clear. Your voice is very clear. There is absolutely no problem in the voice.
Sir, this part is very complex because after 2005 there is a major shift in the Bloom's taxonomy and it is revised. So dear students, you shall concentrate on that because there was the emphasis is given on cognitive process and knowledge component in respect of knowledge domain which was previously existed before 2005. So cognitive process is more given importance in the task, in the teaching process. So as a teacher, as a future teacher, as a regular teacher, task will be to develop the cognitive ability in the minds of the students in respect of the students should remember, the students should understand, the students should apply, the students should analyze, the students should evaluate, the students should create. So if these verbs are clearly inculcated in their mind when different subjects are taught, when different knowledges are given, when the science knowledges are given, these are the processes. Suppose you have to teach a particular topic like motion, Newton's laws of motion, maybe speed, maybe electricity and magnetism, maybe food system. So at the time, while you are giving the concept, the importance is given not only the concept, rather how the concept should be remembered, how the concept should be understood, how the concept should be applied, how the concept should be analyzed, how the concept should be evaluated, how the term should be created. So in that term, there are both components. This mind has two components. One is knowledge component, knowing, and another is cognitive processes. Processes of knowing. In this way, it is highlighted. The subcategories of 6 categories of cognitive domain are highlighted, referring to 2 important dimensions. One is knowledge dimensions, second is cognitive process dimensions. Then how to write objectives? The objectives should be written in the form which are more realizable, which can be realized, which is more feasible, which is more achievable. When I am writing the objectives, it should be clear. If the instructional objectives are written in the clear terminology, then parents it is realizable. If there is doubts, if there is no clarity in the written form, then the teacher, there may not be healthy teacher learning process, there may not be healthy assessment procedure, there may not be evaluation strategy. So the learning may not be fruitful. Because learning is fruitful, the teaching learning will be more enjoyable, more fruitful, more meaningful if all the processes are clear. from the setting of objectives, suitable adoption of methods, then giving examples, then process of assessment, gradation. If all these processes are clear, then perhaps the teaching process is in right direction. So how to write objectives? So when we have to write objectives, when we have to formulate objectives, they have to be stated in such a way so that it is achievable. These are measurable. And it is to be worded in such a fashion so that the teaching learning procedure will be clear from that objectives. Then after the statement of objectives, it will be clear for the teachers what to learn, what to teach. It will be clear to the students that what to learn. It will be clear to the evaluator what to evaluate. It will be clear to the teacher what method to be followed. It will be clear to the students what kind of learning materials he is to recapitulate, he is to learn, he is to memorize, he is to understand. So in this way, the verb, the activities, the terms in a verb form are to be given importance. So specific learning outcome in the performance terminology should be written. The conditions should be given, circumstances under which learning occurs, that should be given. Then the criterion should be made on the basis of which the student should be assessed. So these three important connotations, the three important dimensions, these three important directions should be made clear in the statement of objectives or in the formulation of objectives. Now we shall switch over to how it has shifted from in the pedagogical approach from behaviorism to constructivism. Because after 2005, when we have to give stress on construction of instructional objectives, it has been stressed, it has been shifted from the philosophy, one is major philosophy, from behaviorism to constructivism. So constructivism, we may say that it is 21st century knowledge. So in the case of behaviorism, we are giving importance on transmission of knowledge. But after 2005, after constructivism comes, it is creation of knowledge. So transmission of knowledge is not important, rather creation of knowledge is important. And creation of knowledge is possible at the end of a child more, and sometimes it is at the end of a teacher. Because teacher is not a transmitter of knowledge, he is only a mediator. He is only a facilitator. He is only a guide. He is only a well-wisher. Before that, in case of behaviorism, passive learner was there. Learner was learning passively, passive learning. Now it is active learning because by engagement, this learner learns. So the learning atmosphere becomes active. Before that, top-down approach was there. What teacher was wanting to say, we are usually hear to them. But now, the teacher is not higher authority. He is one of the students. He is one of the members of the learning group. He is one of the members of the teacher learning group. He has become one of the important part and parcel of the group, learning faculty. For that reason, it is bottom-up approach. The teacher is to learn from the students also. So there is a cooperation. So before some years, in the behavioristic approach, it was instruction center, teacher center. Now it is learning center, learner center. Teaching should be organized for construction of knowledge. So now teaching is not to be disseminated. Teaching is not to be diverted. Teaching is not to be dictated. Rather, the learning is to be received. The learning is to be known. The learning is to be understood. The learning is to be created. The learning is to be applied in the real life situations in his own style. In this way, teaching should be organized for the construction of learning, not dissemination of learning. Then, after the constructivist approach comes, you can refer to page 44, then there is some effect on teaching learning. Traditional lesson planning to constructivist approach to lesson planning, shift from teacher to learner, teaching to learning, then teacher is not a transmitter, rather it is a navigator. Teacher becoming a co-learner, teacher becoming a guide, the teacher to be fully involved as a part of the group of learners. Teacher is to facilitate creating a conducive environment. Teacher is to give justice to the students. Teacher is to give a congenial atmosphere. Teacher is to give assignments. That means the teacher is to be given opportunity, not the real knowledge by himself. Then, before some time, it was the learning atmosphere was much more prevalent with competitions. Now it has been changed to cooperation. Teachers lecturing, it was given more importance. Now it is not important. Giving opportunity by the teachers. We are listening only. Before some days, we are listening only and we try to memorize. Rote memory was giving strength. Now it is not there. Now it is a time for questioning. Now it is time for inquiry. Now it is time for critical thinking. Now it is time for relating, logical relationship, establishing. Then development of scientific knowledge has changed to development of scientific process. Few years back, only knowledge was gathered. But now the knowledge is not important. Rather, the process is important. The experiential learning is given importance. The problem-solving ability is to be developed. The naturalistic inquiry is to be developed. Curiosity is to be generated. The investigative project should be on. We should be assessed through seminars. We should be assessed through flexible learning. There may be house-based examinations. There may be open book examinations. There may be gradations. Like in the IGNO, when you are to graded, you are graded in a various grades, not scores particularly. So it is a better form. It is a rather cooperative form. Less competition is given. There is a competition, but it is more than cooperation. There is less competitions. Then a few years back, in the behavioristic approach or before 2005, examination was burden. It was burdensome. Evaluation was more important. But now, it is not examination oriented. It is not only evaluation. Rather, assessment is more given importance. Assessment is given more importance. Only not assessment. Qualitative assessment as well as quantitative assessment. Quantitative assessment and qualitative assessment, not only one at a time. Rather, it is flexible in nature, according to the facilities, according to the need, according to the suitability of the learner, he is to take examinations. And for that reason, continuous comprehension, continuous learning is there, continuous evaluation is there, CCE is in vogue. For that reason, assessment for learning. Before some years, assessment of learning was given importance. Assessment of learning. That means gradation was there, certification was there, mark was there. On the basis of your marks, on the basis of your gradation, on the basis of your final scoring, you are graded. But now, it is not given importance. It is given importance assessment for learning. That means the assessment should be done for learning to happen. That means you have to grow. Because learning is helping to grow yourself. Learning is to helping to develop yourself. So learning, the assessment of learning, it is not so better than that of assessment for learning. So in this way, there is a shift from before 2005 to now after 2005. Or we can say in the behavioristic approach, this was the guideline, this was important, and after 2005, when the constructivist approach of teaching science learning, science teaching learning was in process, in our hands, at that time, we had to give more importance on cognitive process, we have to give importance on more creation, we have to give importance on the process skills of science rather than knowledge dimensions. So, what is process skills of science? So, do you know what is the process of learning? Important process is observation. I have discussed few times back, what is observation? It is not through eye only, it is through all the sense organs. Maybe by hearing, by touching, by feeling, by listening, by tasting. So if one experience is given by combination of all the sense organs, perhaps that observation is more keen. So observation is should be more keen. So that observation as a process of learning science, it should be developed in the child. So that should be given importance by a teacher. One is basic. What are the basic process skills? One is observation, classification, measuring, estimating, predicting, inference drawing. It are the basic process skills. Without that basic, one cannot learn in science. But beyond that, in present time, in the 21st century, certain advanced skills are also there. Advanced skills. What is that? Identifying and controlling variable, hypothesizing, interpreting data, defining operationally, experimenting, constructing model. So these are the important, improved, advanced science skills. So these skills have to be developed, but in the secondary stage, in the secondary school education, the basic skills are to be provoked, to be developed in the students, like observation skills, classification, communication, measuring, estimating, predicting, inferring. So these are the process. If they are developed in the right suitability, in the right order, then perhaps the children will develop their process skills, process of knowing skills, so that we shall switch over to developing scientific attitude and scientific temper. Scientific attitude and scientific temper. When we have to develop scientific attitude and scientific temper, it is coming under affective domain, because only cognitive domain, only knowledge dimensions, it is not only sufficient for develop a full personality. In order to build a all-round developed personality, there should be developed in 3 dimensions, like cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. So attitude and creating interest or scientific temper are coming under the affective domain. So what is that? What is the scientific attitude? What is the scientific temper? When I have said that କିଛି ସମୟ ଆଗରୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ କହିଥିଲି ଆମର କନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନରେ 51H ଆର୍ଟିକଲରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଲେଖାଗଲା the scientific temper must be developed, scientific attitude must be developed. So that means our country giving strength, our thought is nothing but our thought should be inculcation of spirit of science, inculcation of science spirit. So that is the spirit of inquiry, the spirit of the scientific bent of mind, the curiosity generation, the inventive mind, the discovery bent of mind, the truth, finding the truth, the comparability, the testing, the experimental ability. So these are the terms. These are the terms. If the student is confronted with, then perhaps the scientific attitude is developed. Because when attitude comes when you know, when the child knows what is the nature of science, what is the aspects of science, what is the definitions of science. So from that, if we are to inculcate that spirit, if we are to inculcate that process of science, and if it is infused in the minds of the students, then perhaps scientific attitude comes. Scientific attitude means science seeks the truth. Science knowledge is tentative. Science is not last. Scientific facts is not last, but it is long last. It is not last, but it has long lasting. It is it may change in the present information. It may change after verification by some other persons. It may not be valid for tomorrow. The reliability may be lost day after tomorrow. So every day we have to test it. We have to validate it. We have to make it reliable. We have to experiment it. We have to be inventive. We have to have inventive bent of mind. And if we are to be more inventive, if we are to create a bent of mind, in order to question why, how it is there, what is there, why not? If it was not in that condition, if we If in that way, if we ask questions to that truth, that formula, that theorem, that concept, that principles, perhaps that time there is a quizzical question, there is a questioner mind. If it is generated in the students, if we cannot make sure that what teacher says it is all right, so if there is a question mark, if the ability of critical thinking comes, if a reasoning mind is developed, then perhaps there is a possibility of development of scientific attitude, because scientific attitude and scientific temper may come if we are able to think critically, if we are able to think logically, if we are to respect for evidence, if we are more objective than that of a subjectivity, if we are open-mindedness. Suppose I am giving a statement to you, and I see tomorrow that what I have taught tomorrow, oh, it is false. So I must have open-minded. Yes, friends, what I have said yesterday, it is a little bit falsity in that statement. That should be changed, and this is the right statement. If this statement I can say it is nothing but it is an open-mindedness. So the scientist, the science should always be open-mindedness, because it is not exact, cannot be. It has the last attainment and there is no change. This situation will not come. For that reason, always it should embrace any change. Scientific facts also, it will welcome the validation by some other persons, by some other experimenter, by some other experiments, by some other time, at different places. Then only the scientific attitude or scientific temper, scientific meta mind is created. Then honesty in reporting observations. When I am experimenting, there should be a report, and it should be honestly presented. The description should be honestly managed. What I have seen, I have reflected. Not that it is to be reflected, so I have reflected. It is not found. So if I does not describe in that way, I might get less mark. So I will describe differently. So it is not, because it is not honest approach. Honest approach is what evidences you have collected, you have to write in your report, you have to describe in your experiment. Then we have to be skepticism. That means we have to question. If it is true, why it is true? If it is not, in this way, we have to be critical. We have to be critical. We must not accept anything true. We must take it granted after several examinations, after several scrutiny. So we must be skepticism. We should develop our personality in that way. Then another thing comes, perseverance. Scientific attitude, for scientific attitude or scientific temper or scientific talent, we should have perseverance. We should be effortlessly, we shall be very much painstaking. We shall be hardworking. We shall give maximum effort. We shall not be lazy. If we are not lazy, if we are very much workaholic, we are very much experimentative, there is not any flexibility, if there is no rigidity, if there is open-mindedness, if we consider for labor, then consistent thinking, then questioning, in this way, if we go sequentially in an way, then perhaps we can develop scientific attitude. Perhaps then towards the last part, we can say that nurturing aesthetic sense and curiosity and interdependence of different aspects of nature of science. And last unit is diverted to science in school curriculum. That is very essay type in nature. So you can read it, and I can give assurance that if we learn and if you read, you will comprehend, because it is about the history of development of science what is national curriculum framework, national curriculum framework re on shift ହେଇଛି, what I have discussed more or less, maximum I have discussed. Then it is correlation. Last part, it is correlation. Science is related to mathematics, science is related to geography, science is related to art, science is related to history, science is related to music, science is related to many subjects, maybe science subjects, maybe subjects under various art subjects, maybe under commerce subjects, because there is an interdependence, there is an interrelationship between the various subjects in between. In this way, science is related to various subjects in one way or other. Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Dey. You have really nicely presented the entire block, and I'm sure our students must have understood whatever you spoke in this particular online platform. Now it is time for interaction. Students, if you have any question, you can straight away ask, or if you want to write in the chat box, you can also write your question in the chat box, so that I will personally take up, and we will have a discussion here in this open platform. Any question from the side of the learners? Please ask one by one. You see, Dr. Dey has rightly said that last portion deals with the national curriculum framework, and you can download the entire NCF 2005 from from website, not IGNOU's website, from website. You just go to Google and write National Curriculum Framework 2005, and you will get the whole document. So as a teacher, you are supposed to know what are the different aspects which are presented there in NCF 2005. So please do that. And if you have any question, you can come on. Let me see the chat box if there is any question. Subhalakshmi Acharya is asking, please say what is the difference between teaching class and counseling class. So Subhalakshmi, let me answer this particular question. You see, normally the concept of teaching has become redundant at the moment. Today, whatever Dr. Dey is doing, he is simply facilitating. He is not teaching line by line. He is not teaching word by word or sentence by sentence. He is simply presenting on important issues which are related to your subject at the moment, isn't it? Teaching is something which is in the present time is not practiced. Now teaching has been overpowered by learning. Maximum emphasis is given to learning. Here everybody is learning in one way or the other, including the counselor, including myself, and all those who are online. Okay, so teaching is something different, but counseling, when you talk of counseling, it comes to advising, it comes to facilitating, it comes to providing help, providing support, isn't it? So many things. So counseling is a broad subject than teaching. Teaching is a specific subject. Teaching is only confined to giving some idea to the students of at a particular time, teaching. But when it comes to counseling, whole lot of things. So counseling includes teaching, isn't it? Teaching, advising, tutoring, helping, counseling, all these things taken together becomes counseling. I hope you have got the point. Dr. Dey, Krishna Kumari Das is asking, is library science is a science? Please explain.
Library science is a science because it is not the science as that of physics, as that of chemistry, as that of biology. Rather, when we have said that the nature of science is something different. So science means systematic study. Science means it is an integrated subject. Science means it is a composite discipline. So when the very nature of science is different that of arts, when it is not the segregation of different subjects, rather, and if we arrange the subject matter in a scientific way, in a particular arrangement, so it becomes science. So library science is nothing but the various reading, the various articles, the various materials in the library, how to use library, how to maintain library. So that particular topics, if it is arranged in a scientific way, if it's taught in a scientific way, and it is taught or learned in a better way, then it is, for that reason, it is said that library is science. So economic science, social science, and environmental science, that means in a sociology or the social phenomena in a betterment in a scientific way. For that reason, I have it is said that library science, economic science, environmental science. So the environmental components, environmental the materials in a scientific ways. So it depends on.
Yes, exactly. In simple terms, we can say, since there is application of scientific
Application
principles
of
and scientific applications in
yes,
this
yes.
particular subject, library science, therefore
Library
it is
science.
called a science, because what is there in library science? You
Yes,
have to
yes.
do, classification. You have to prepare classification tables, because
Mm.
now everything is digitized. There is digital application there in this particular subject, and so
Mm.
many other things which are purely scientific in nature. Therefore,
Yeah.
this particular subject is called a science, library science.
Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is another question by Amresh Parida. Amresh Parida is asking how behaviorism and constructivism work, especially in science. That means the application of these two aspects, behaviorism and constructivism in science.
Uh, Actually, behaviorism is a philosophy, and constructivism is a recent philosophy. Behaviorism, that means a behavior modification or any change or any development was done, and there are certain points was given stressed at the point of behaviorism or before 2005. So in that behaviorism, the role of a teacher, the role of a student, the role of a learning material, the role of the method, it is also changed. But we, at this point of time, it is not clearly that behaviorism is not there. And it is not that the constructivism is fully operating. Rather, we are in a transition. We are in between. We are in between. There is no, because in case of behaviorism, it was teacher centered. In the constructivism, it was learner centered. But still today, there is not completely out of teachers. As first, जो GNT पचेरला, what is teaching and counselor? Actually, it is a counseling sessions, but it is felt that it is more of teaching because there is less chance given to that child, to that girl. But it is not that. Due to time constraint, due to situations, we are compelling to discuss in that way. If the students have many questions beforehand, and we have to only deal that questions, so it may be better form of counseling, but it is not possible to manage. For that reason, I can say that we have to not actually expel the philosophy of behaviorism, and only we have to make a balance between behaviorism and constructivism. We have to proceed. We have to proceed from behaviorism to constructivism as the age is so fast. The age is ICT enabled. The age is much growing. So the constructivist approach, the learner is more respected. The learner is to be given more importance. The learner is to be given more opportunity. The learner is to be given more provisions. The learner is to construct knowledge. So knowledge is not to be disseminated. Knowledge is not to be transmitted by the senior person to a lesser mature persons. Rather, we have to be part and parcel of the learning community. We have to be cooperative to each other. We have to be friend each other. In that way, constructivist approach or constructivism to be welcomed, it is to be welcomed in our present behavioristic approach atmosphere. But
You
A
see,
reading should be
knowledge
less given.
construction, exactly, Dr. Day, knowledge construction is a continuous process.
Yes.
Every day, every moment, every time, every situation, we are having new knowledge, and that means new thing is entering into our mind. We are
Yes.
constructing knowledge, isn't it? Knowledge
Yes.
acquisition is nothing but knowledge construction.
Mm.
Knowledge on different aspects or different things that we see in front of us. When you look at the sky, blue sky, that means you are constructing a different kind of knowledge on the sky. When you
Yes.
are looking at a tree, isn't it? When you are
Yes.
looking at a tree, you are simply
Mm.
not looking at a tree, you are looking at a tree from various angles. We are
Yes.
forming different opinion about the tree. That is nothing but knowledge construction. So knowledge construction is a continuous process. And as it starts from birth till you go to graveyard. Okay, it is a continuous process, and we are going on acquiring knowledge not only formally but also in different manners, different ways. Okay, so it is a regular process. And then another question is very beautiful question. Somebody has asked, Himanshu Sekhar Praharaj, what is scientific temper? Very beautiful
Scientific
question.
scientific temper, that means nothing but it is a the mind should be changed. Scientific temper. ଆମେ ଯେମିତି କହୁଛେ ତୁ ବଡ ଟେମ୍ପରିଆ ତାମାନେ the feeling that we shall test anything from the scientific point of view. ତାହେଲେ we should not be biased. We should test it from actual angles. It should be truthful. It should be verifiable. It should be validated. It should be reliable. So as it is, it should not be taken into considerations. So that is scientific temper. Suppose sir has told us something, I must not take into considerations. It is fact because sir has said. So I must question it. I must examine critically. So when I am critical, when I put a logic whether if it is true. So this is nothing but scientific temper. Temper means feeling. Temper
You
means
see,
testing.
yes, Doctor. I would like to add to it. You see,
Yes.
scientific temper is a kind of attitude which is there
Attitude.
with every individual. If you do not
Attitude.
have scientific temper, you cannot judge the science which is involved in any object. I will give you a small example. When Einstein was a small child, when he was told by his stepmother to go to the farmhouse to close the doors and windows of the house, he went there, and instead of entering into the house and instead of doing or instead of closing the doors and windows, he was standing in the open sky. When strong wind was blowing from different direction, it was a storm. Storm was coming, and when storm was coming, he was trying to find out something new out of the strong wind which was blowing. He was jumping in the open sky because he had scientific temper in himself. He was interested to see the force of the wind. He was jumping and he was falling down on the ground. Again, he was standing and strong wind was pushing him from the back and he was falling on the ground. So scientific temper is that. That means you suppose I just simply wave my hand. Waving hand is a natural activity, small activity. But if you have scientific temper, then you will be able to see, with what force our sir has, waved his hand. So many things, so many scientific activities involved in waving the hand.
Yes.
Isn't it? For example, you see, one day, one teacher came to my house. I will not name him. My son asked him, sir, kindly explain what is viscosity. He said immediately, you just bring a mug of water and give me your pencil. He just put the pencil inside the mug of water and he start rotating the water inside the mug, and he simply said, this is viscosity. You see, everything, every commodity or every object that we see in front of us is having scientific temper, and that temper we must have in ourselves. If you do not have scientific temper, you will not able to see what is the kind of science involved in a particular object.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful
In
question.
everything.
And
In
please,
everything.
yes.
In everything, we shall have to judge differently from different angles.
Yes.
Which is not ordinary.
What kind of science is involved in that particular object? If I look at a particular object, if you have scientific temper, you'll be able to find out the science. For example, a piece of chalk.
Yes.
A piece of chalk might look very simple in front of everybody,
Common man.
a common man. But if a person has scientific temper, he will try to analyze a piece of chalk, its
Yes.
color, its composition, isn't
Yes.
it? The content with which the piece of chalk is prepared. So
Yes,
all
sir.
these things. And it is very important on the part of a teacher to inculcate scientific temper in the minds of the young children also.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you, Himanshu Shekhar Praharas, for asking such a beautiful question. And there is another question. There is another question. Subhalakshmi Acharya, scientific thinking. No, she's just simplifying. Somebody is asking, Siddhartha Giri is asking, what is skepticism? Is it related to the subject, skepticism?
Yes, yes. That means under scientific attitude, it has coming. That means skepticism. That it means not taking granted. We shall not take granted anything to be true. So this is the important criteria of a science students, of a student which is having a scientific better mind, scientific attitude, scientific interest, में scientific methods से. So the child should develop scientific mind. He should have scientific temper. That means he should not take granted anything to be true. This is nothing but skepticism.
Very
It is
good.
to be tested. It should be validated. It should be experimented. Then by himself he should be convinced. Yes, it is true. So this is nothing but skepticism.
Thank
It
you.
is a quality.
Thank you, Dr. De. There is another question by Akshay Kumar Sahu. He is asking the original Bloom's taxonomy and the revised taxonomy.
Original taxonomy में short 6 steps are there. One is knowledge, comprehension, analysis, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So these are there in original. So there is a misunderstanding between knowledge and in the order. Knowledge is misinterpreted sometimes by several persons. So it is in the revised form, knowledge becomes remembering. Because in case of a knowledge, it is simplified by Anderson Krathwohl in 2001, which is incorporated after 2001, that knowledge is no more there, rather it is remembering. Then second comprehension, it is changed to understanding. Understand. One most important consideration is it was in the noun form. Previous Bloom's taxonomy was in noun form. That means knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Important shift is in revised form, all are verbs. What is that? Remember, then understand, then apply, then analyze. Then fifth ray, it is not synthesis, rather it is evaluate. So in case of Bloom's taxonomy, in the 6th point, it was evaluation. In the revised taxonomy, in the 5th step, it was evaluate. Then in the case of Bloom's taxonomy, in the 6th stage, it was, in the 5th stage, it was a synthesis, and which is coming as the 6th part in the revised taxonomy, which is in the form of creation. Because constructivist approach, it stresses on creation of knowledge, creation of concept. For that reason, these are the major shift. So in this way, as creation is the last part of the knowledge, for that reason, it has been shifted to from 5th position to 6th position. And the stress is on the verbs rather than on the noun. Not that there is a major shift, rather the student will be involved, that they will do something, they will involve in the activity because it is a doing subject. Rather it is stresses on verbs rather than noun. Though after verbs there will be noun. So in this way there is a shift. Bloom's taxonomy and revised taxonomy.
Thank you, Dr. Dev. Very nicely answered. I think we have come to the end of today's session. There is no other question. So before we wind up, let me first of all thank Dr. Dey, who has nicely presented various issues involving teaching of science. Of course, there are many more sessions, three more sessions are going to come, and the remaining issues which are there will be discussed threadbare, and all problems and queries of the students will be taken up subsequently. Till such time, we'll have to wait. And thank you, Dr. Dey. Dear students, I
Thank
must
you, sir.
also thank all of you for your effective participation, active participation. And I would request all of you to kindly join sharply at 10 o'clock for block 2. Okay. In case, before coming to the class, you're all advised to go through the study material. Study materials are available in e-Gyan course. So please download the study materials and start reading for the time being. Because of this COVID situation, we have not been able to provide you the printed copy of the study material because post offices are not delivering the materials. Therefore, we have not sent. So till such time, please make use of the soft copy of the study material, which is available in the website. Okay. So thank you very much. So please come prepared tomorrow with your questions so that the session will be lively and interactive. Thank you, Dr. Dey, for your effective presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.